Alright, so I'm just going to do a number 2 open. For the most part, I'm just going to start like, I'm going to create like a little line. I'm just going to create my guide with a 2 all the way his parietal bone, like just from his temples all the way down his head, and I'm going to do that first over anything. Digging using a comb just to brush it down instead of like a brush. Better. I'll move them around too so you guys can check it out.
So you cut on dry hair all the time?
Yeah. Usually when I do clippers, it's always dry. Like, it could be a little moist, and I've seen some people do it wet, but I still prefer to do it dry. And I like to like wet it and blow dry it a little bit just to bring the hair back to like its kind of natural state. Start seeing what I'm doing. Feel free to like shoot me whatever kind of questions. First step. I love to do a step 2, just along his parietal, his occipital bone, and it can go up a little bit more, like on this side by his eye. I always kind of try to follow like with an eyebrow so it has some intention with shape. It works.
And you said you used number 2 on that.
A number 2, open, so that means like the longest with like the little lever. Then I prefer to section stuff out. If you section stuff out, it just keeps everything cleaner, just less room for errors, everything just looks neater. This is like my favorite stuff, and this is something like I feel like I wasn't really into right away. I learned this from this master stylist, Sarah Marie at Heroin. She's amazing hairdresser, and she taught me like a lot of clipper over comb, which this is just awesome. It's just one of these combs or anything like this, like. So you just take your comb and you just shove it, like now you just created that little. Now you see a big giant gap. You see like low hair to a bunch of hair, kind of. So now you want to blend that. You want that. You don't want to see a line really. So now you can just take that flat against the head. You just tilt it like 45 like that, and then you can just go over it with it. Just boom, 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 and see it starts to soften it right away. So you just see it already. It's just like not such a hard dent, and it's just that simple. You don't have to go over it with your shears like 100 times. Like I got really good with scissor over comb, but now with this, you're just like as long as you got a steady hand, boom, it looks clean. And don't overcut it. I feel like I get crazy too, and that's my goal today, is just to try to go through it without cutting it a million times. Same thing, kind of, and now like when I'm getting back here, same thing, but now you just kind of want to tilt it and go with the shape of the line you made. Kind of tilt it up, look for that little line that picks up. You'll see the hair hanging over it. You just want to take that, it's a nice even line. Ktrel Mitchell Jr. for pumping me up and getting me to do this, because that kid always keeps me going. I know you guys have seen him, right? Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah, he's like one of the reasons. Like another huge thing is keep hanging out with like those few of you that are like super geeked out on this stuff, because seriously, there's times where I'll just stop and I'm like, I don't feel like doing a demo. I don't care. I'm just like, I do my thing. And then he like comes and does something, and then I'm like, all right. And this is the Oster Classic 76, and I don't know, it's just the biggest one. It's like a little lawnmower engine, just cuts through anything. It's the strongest one. I think it's like 150 bucks, but then each guard is like its own metal piece, and these are like 30 bucks each. So it can get pretty pricey, but it's still probably one of my favorite ones to cut, and every barber owns this one. It's like the most classic one. No. In barbering school, I didn't even buy a kit. Like my school, I was the first barbering student, so they've been super chill and just kind of have let me just take my own test whenever I'm done with a chapter. Just nicking corners. Again, I like to round, like, all the corners always get a little pointier, so I just kind of like to round them off a little bit. And this was something I didn't do for a while, even when I was done with this. I used to always scissor over comb this. I used to put a comb and just scissor all this up, like, till it was, like, perfect. But with this, I feel like it's easier, especially to teach you guys a basic. If you can use this with any clippers, and it's good to use a guard. Just put like a 1 on and one of these. This counts as like a guard. So this is like a 1, and then you put a guard on your wall clipper that you guys have, that little designer. It makes it like a step 2. So then you can just put it over and you won't cut too much off. And the thing is just if you place it against the head and you do it, you're gonna make a dent in. So you always have to just pull back a little bit, like when you do it against the head. And I want to thank Johnathan for being my awesome model today. Everybody give him a little hand of applause. Alright, so now it's a little disconnected. I'm still going to go back and blend after. I'll probably scissor over comb on this side. But now I'm going to connect the top to the sides a little bit. So we'll just comb this all back. And I still love to point cut just to keep things textured. Yeah, smaller sections is better. And again, I always love to round this around the head. Like if you hold it real squared, it'll just look squared. So it's all, there's a whole different world of like hair cutting out there. Like I'm gonna do the Sassoon Academy thing in like probably like a month or 2. And it's just finger positioning, everything, the way you create layers, round layers. But honestly, I feel like that's the reason that I still love doing hair, is that like when I got into this, when I started here, I was playing music my whole life, and then I was just kind of like, I worked at a hair salon when I was in college in Las Vegas called Robert Cromian's, and he's the international creative director for Paul Mitchell, and that's kind of where I fell in love with the whole thing. But for the longest time, I couldn't commit to beauty school. Then I finally did this, and it was just awesome, but you really see how much harder hair is. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, this will be so easy, I'll kill it. This will be so okay, hair is so easy. And the more you do it, you're just kind of like, oh wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. And there's so many different things. Cutting women's hair to cutting men's hair is a whole different game. You're painting with different brushes, just completely different tools. I love to just scissor over comb it, just go over it. You can just nick it a little bit. Anywhere where you see a line coming up a little strong. Anywhere it looks a little extra dark.
If you would have made the line softer, would it have been easier to blend?
Yeah, probably. I probably wouldn't even have had a scissor over comb it, but I don't know. I feel like I have more control with this. It's slower, it's easier. But again, like, even I remember when I used to sit in here and I used to always just have my scissors in my hands and just click them the entire hour and just play with them in my hand. And Mrs. L used to tell me I was going to get carpal tunnel. She's like, you better stop doing that. And I was like, I don't care, whatever. But it gave me really good scissor control, which is cool. Connect the back a bit. Just to keep length, I like to just pull it away.
How are you palming your scissors?
Like this.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing pretty much as like what they teach you, like that, so you don't open it when you have like a comb in your hand. But just when you have it, don't really do this because then you're going to get in a bad habit of it for like stay bored. But when your pinky's like this, kind of like, it just keeps it closed when you have a comb in your hand. It just doesn't open, and it doesn't ever stab you, which is weird.
Does it ever stab your clients?
No, it never has. It's been actually really good for it. Like, it was funny because when I started, I would just see all the like amazing hair cutters do it, and that's the only reason I did it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hold it like that. I have no idea what for, but
That's good.
but now it just becomes repetition and habit.
Now, how do you deal with the cowlicks and stuff? Because some men do have that.
They do. You know what? Like, I never really run into that problem so much. I just try not ever to cut short. Like, I see a cowlick kind of like in this area, so I'm not just cutting it. I guess if you go super short, like, it'll probably happen, but wet it and always play with it. And you're supposed to cut it in its natural part. Same thing. Now I'm just going to elevate this whole side this way to connect this side. Again, I point cut it, bring it out. Point cut, it just leaves it so it's not so blunt looking, so it doesn't look like he has like a flat top haircut and it looks all like straight. It just gives it that more natural kind of growth to it. And I like to just keep everything rounded in for the most part. It just looks really good. And then I always take the little front piece and kind of hold it forward, point cut like my own little straight line to it, and then slowly start bringing it back to save that length. Hopefully you can see a little guide.
Do you have tips for like around the ears?
Yeah.
Making it stick out all weird?
I use my Annis tea trimmer, like this thing. This has been good, but I also tell people don't make a new line. Like I see some people like go around the ear and make like a bigger line around the ear, and then you're like, you just make a gap. So it's just subtleness like around the ear. Or you can always take it and take like a small comb and just kind of go right beneath it and just nick it out. Anything right there. And it's a lot of scissor control too. Like seriously, I think it's huge to play with your scissors. Like it'll just get you that much better. And I'm just connecting the back. And just cut hair, like seriously, like just do as many people as you can. Try to do your friends, like even in the beginning, like just do as many people that'll let you. There's times where I still have to push myself to do it. And you're gonna get little days where you're like, ah. And again, that's why it's important to have like just geeked out friends that are like little hair nerds that are just into this stuff. Because you're gonna have down days where you're gonna be like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. And then your friends are like, oh, I did this photo shoot and I did this updo and got in this magazine, and you're like, oh, I need to do something. You're like, it's been a while. Cross check, it all looks good. Still looks a little chunky just in that area. See, and even here it's like there's a little bit of a line still. Like right there, so I'll just go over it. But when it's so subtle, you have to be super careful, because I just feel like I've made more lines just trying to push in and erase those. Alright, we're almost done with this part. And again, a huge thing, your mirror. Your mirror, seriously, like I've heard some people say, like, your mirror's not for you to look at yourself, it's not for your client to look at themselves. It's like your best friend. Like, look at it when you're doing haircuts and you see so much different. You see lines that you'll be here for like an hour. Okay, it's perfect. Then you'll like just stand back and you'll look and you'll be like, oh, that's all off. And you see way more lines. A mirror will show you things that you're not even paying attention to. Just one extra thing to add, especially if you like doing hair, you're like, and I tell everybody, I was like, I wasn't in a rush. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I need a job. I need to just start working to make money and stuff like that. If you try to do that so much, if you try to do this as a career, just for the money, it won't last. Like, you really have to love doing this and just kind of do it for fun.
That's right.
You could. It's just kind of like, if you want it to last and you want to enjoy it, just learn to dig it. So now, tea trimmer, this is like the best peanut pretty much. Like, I don't even use my peanut anymore. This is all I use.
What is it, Oster?
No, it's the Andis one. It's the Andis tea trimmer, yeah. Oh yeah, and again, sideburns, I hate squaring off sideburns. I just think it doesn't look good unless somebody asks for it, like just buzzing in straight, like square. So I always just try to kind of point them in, everything at an angle. And this is what I mean about the ear, like don't make a bigger line, just kind of clean up what's around there. And honestly, if you feel like you can't even reach it, just leave it alone. Sometimes I feel like we dig for more and then that's where you make errors. And with these, that's the easiest thing. It's like, you can cut hair easy with this, but you can mess up hair super easy. And I feel like I tell everybody the same thing. I'm like, cutting hair is such an easy thing, but it's so easy to mess up cutting hair. Like, that's the biggest thing. And even after like all these years of me geeking out, like I still have to try. It's not like something I do in my sleep. You still have to pay attention. And as crazy as like ADD I am, this is like the only thing that like chills me out, where I'm like focused for like a couple hours and I'm just like not running around all over the place. And this isn't the same point cutting as before. This is just kind of more like I'm breaking into it. And you can do it another way too, where you just kind of go from underneath and just kind of.
From underneath?
Yeah, you can just dig at it.
Yeah.
Like this. I might have left it a little bit longer than I wanted to in the front, but it'll be cool. I'm like, that'll look chill. And then here the cowlick is actually messing a little bit. See, it's a little heavier right there. You see that little bit of chunk? So I'll probably just go over it a little bit.
To try to work with it a little better, is it easier to dry?
Now dry, just because I actually blow dried it. But I'll re-wet it right now just to style it.
And walk out.
So I still like using these Paul Mitchell products just because I worked at that Paul Mitchell salon for a couple of years. So I use this skinny serum and this cream conditioner, and I just kind of cake it in. Styling products, just you win every time. If you're up against somebody that has no products and they're super sick and they have all the tools, if you have products, more than likely you're going to win. Just because you can actually shape hair now better. Hair will hold. Think of it as another tool. Like, I was the only one just geeked out when I would come to school and I would have like a little basket just full of stuff all the time. But it was just like, it helps so much. Cool little blow drying technique, especially to build like a little bit of a pump. Put the product in. Again, same thing like you're flat wrapping, like even a girl's hair or bob, like blow dry it in kind of every direction you can in a sense. I'm going to go that way with it eventually. And I always love digging into it and going up with it. And that's going to be your hold. Like, the product isn't what creates this. This is the blow dry. Like, it'll be soft all day, like, but it's the blow dry that keeps it up all day, like. Guys think they're like, oh, what kind of product do you use? Use that spicy glue? I'm like, nope. So again, you just kind of dip in, dig out, like, and you create tension. Tension's gonna blow dry better. It's not gonna make it frizzy. I learned that at Heroin from my boss Janine. The more tension the hair, the more shine there's gonna be. It won't break out and look all frizzy. Like if I were to hit his hair with a blow dryer just like that, it's just gonna look like a little frizz ball, like at the end. You just have to put product. But this just keeps it almost like there's already product in it. It holds its shape nice just because I'm putting that tension in. Again, most people are going to go against this with what I'm doing, but I'm just going to use my fingers for this. Again, a little bit of tension is always good.
What do you call this haircut?
I don't know. It's like Hipster-men-basic. Like, I don't know. It's just a haircut that, it's my money maker in a sense. It's like what a lot of guys like. I don't know why, like a lot of hairstylists can't do this cut. It's when it's just like a simple, don't get me wrong, we take it sometimes to like a way more insane extreme shorter bottom and we'll try to taper this out sometimes. Sometimes we could do this where it's just skin tapered right here into like a gradual cut. So just like a classic men's fade, like GQ comb over. And again, I like to get hair bone dry. It's just when you put product in, it just holds better. Don't really leave it wet. It's just kind of like girls' hair. When you're blow drying girls' hair, don't leave it wet. Just dry it till it's bone dry. And for the most part, like you could add product here. I always like to like just do it with a flat iron though, just to give it that little extra polish. It's best to use a comb too. Yeah, and always look in the front. It's always like a weird thing to stand in front of your client and just look at them right in the face, but that's how you see it. Like, you have to do that. I feel like we're always like, back here like, all right, how does it look? We're all right. No, that's what they say. Like, we always work the back of the head forever. You know, we're just like back here, just digging away at stuff, but you have to get in the front. Like, favorite ones, these are just dry mats. And like, these are the ones like guys mainly don't know. Guys know like gels and pomades and things that make their hair super greasy, wet. But these are cool because you can actually give that look if you add enough of it. But it's just like little white looking, won't ever come out. So this one's like Paul Mitchell Tea Tree Shaping Cream. It's just the shaping cream, looks like that. Little green one, green can. They sell it at Cosmoprof. I think it's like $9. It'll last a really long time. And after you blow dry it, it'll just give it more of that like dry texture, just kind of rub it in your hands. And it looks like there's a ton.
Tea tree what? I'm sorry.
Shaping cream.
It's seriously the best stuff.
Yeah. It was funny because I asked him this morning, I was like, what do you use in your hair? He's like, shaping cream. I was like, that's what I use in my hair today. I was like, that's what we're using for the class.
Yeah.
I was like,
I actually used all three of the products I just told you about. Really, really good. That Bumble and Bumble, that was like $30.
yeah, that's the only thing. With the Sumo Tech, it's like $28 and you can only get it at like Sephora or like a Bumble and Bumble salon. And
But it
like,
lasts a long time. And then it lasts like a few months.
yeah, but still like,
From Paul Mitchell?
the tea tree one is the one I'm using right now. Yeah.
Worth it though if you don't want your hair to look greasy and
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, shaping cream.
And it smells so nice.
Yeah, it smells awesome too.
It's like I'm at a spa.
It's good now. Hairspray too, and this is what I mean why I'm a product junkie. It's just like you can style a guy's hair out and it's always going to make it look just better. I love this Sebastian reshaper. I'm not a huge Sebastian person, but their hairspray reshaper is just awesome because it's easy to comb through. Even if you're doing editorial stuff, super good. This one and zero gravity. And I think I'm out. It's just the kind of hairspray that you can just like even brush through your hands all day, like if you're just like in your hair and it still like holds even though it's like a little drier. Just get really good at doing hair, and then nobody can tell you anything. You don't have to be on a team. You just do your own thing. And most of you guys know me. If you guys have Instagram, you guys can find me under Sugar Skulls. It's just a little thing I geek out on. Before I started beauty school, I didn't want anybody to know I was going to beauty school, so I deleted my old Facebook. And I think Instagram had just came out, and I think that's how I got the Sugar Skulls things, because I was like, I remember even when I put it in, I was like, oh, nobody took that? I was like, no, it's like no underscores, nothing. And so I took it, but there used to be one of my favorite bands called Envy on the Coast, and they used to have a song called Sugar Skulls, like back in the day, like this little screamo band they used to play with like say Oster and stuff. And I remember my old boss, Robert Crome, used to be like, oh, try to think of like a cool, clever name that goes with like hair and like something edgy. And then Sugar Skulls always just kind of stuck around. And then I just used it, and it just kind of started growing, and then I just kind of started taking pictures of like work I did, and now it's just like I feel like I've branded myself in a sense. And like even like last night I get a text from somebody just like, yo man, got your number off Instagram, I don't even know your real name, but I need a haircut. Like just simple like that. But it's fun, and I don't know, I'm just still trying to have a blast with it.
Do you ever lose your passion?
Yeah, of course, that happens. There's times where you're like, even me, like, they knew me even here, and I would geek out all the time. And even when I was done with beauty school, there was times where I was like, even when I quit the first salon I was at, I was so bummed out that I was like, fuck doing hair. I was just like, I'm over it. I was just like, I don't even want to do this anymore. And it sucks when that happens, you know, it freaks you out. But again, all that negative stuff, it goes through anybody's head. You know, it's like, you start doubting yourself, but you just gotta keep going. Like, I mean, maybe just take a break. Step back, just like really think of what you're doing, you know, but it is gonna happen. That's totally natural. Don't waste too much time. I feel like it's just easy to just get your license and then just sit on it. Again, if you turn it into a job and you just look at the money, those days where you don't make a lot of money, you're just gonna hate it, you know, so just try that. Like, don't stay focused on that. And yeah, so make business cards. Like seriously, even just tell people, just have them, even if you're not doing anybody's hair off of it, just be like, oh, somebody wants your number, here, take my card. I'm practicing just passing out cards. Like I'm just trying to get into the habit. Everyone would be like, all right, that's cool, yeah, just take your card, you know? And you get more into the habit of doing it. The more you do it, the easier it is. Because at first you're like, here, I'm a hairdresser. Don't laugh. So just pass it out all the time, you'll get better at it. The more words you can talk about hair, the more professional you sound. You're technically all little hair doctors, like, in a sense. Like, you have to know more than everybody else about hair, like, what's good for it, how to shape it. And my whole mentality was just like, all right, do this more than everybody all the time, and you're gonna get better than everybody in a sense, you know? And I like just spent a lot of lonely time. Like I built a little studio in the back of my house. I didn't want to cut hair in my kitchen. I figured that was gonna be boring. I was gonna hate it. It was gonna get insane. So I had a little music studio in the back of my house by my pool. So like it was just like hardwood floor with posters. And then I just bought an IKEA mirror, that giant $150 mirror that's like with the big wooden frames. I got a chair. Got a music set up, there's like a piano, guitars in there, it's like a rad little vibe. My friends come over, I offer them beers, I'm like, you want a beer? Here, chill. We just hang out, and I'll go crazy if I can't cut hair to music. Like even this was just kind of like, I was like, all right, whatever, I'm doing something, but I have to have music, I have to be in my environment. And it's also like, I love it that it's like the one thing where nobody can come up to me and be like, Carlos, I need you to come do something. I'd be like, no, I'm in the middle of a haircut, you're doing this, and it's just, but just have fun with it. Like, I love tools. Even when I didn't know how to use half the tools, I had all the tools, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like buying guitars. Even when I was like, I first bought my like $100 Fender Squier, and then all of a sudden I bought a $500 guitar, but I could still play the same songs with both of them. Then I bought an $800 guitar. You know, it's like, the better tools you have, the more you enjoy it, the more you want to play with them, and you get to see it. So, geek out, hang out with friends, try to watch DVDs, go to hair shows. Like, hair shows still inspire you. Even there's times where I don't feel like going to Long Beach anymore, where I'm like, this is like my 4th time. I'm like, I don't even care. Like, but go, and you're so stoked. Like, last time I won that little Sassoon Academy thing. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was insane. I got pulled out of a raffle. 3rd place was a day with DJ Muldoon, who used to cut for Paul Mitchell and Robert Cromians. 1-day class, which I've done, worth $250. 2nd place was a 3-day course with Nick Arrojo with like razor cutting, not like razor like barbering, but like razor cutting hair to make it look all. 1st place was Vidal Sassoon Academy, 5-day course, ABC cutting course. This has been like my dream since I was in beauty school. Like I'm just Sassoon, like nerd, like precision cutting. Like other than cutting men's stuff, like I want to do crazy, perfect precision cutting bobs, stuff that like people can't do in a sense. And and they just like, I put my name in a raffle, didn't have to pay any money, just circled it, and I ran out of business cards. I put my business card in there, and they're like, just write on a piece of paper, and I wrote sugar skulls on it. And then like, I sort of like, he just, huge raffle, like 200 people, all my favorite hair cutters there, the international creative director for Sassoon Academy's there, and they just like pull it out, and he just goes, sugar skulls. And I just like black out and just start shaking. I'm like, and every Cantrell's there, like a whole bunch of kids. Paolo won second place for the razor cutting class, which was nuts, out of like 200 people. And yeah, and it was just insane. So now I have a free 5-day course worth $1,500. Like, so, but to win it was like just insane. So I'll probably be doing that at the end of April, early May. So we'll see. So that's like the next thing I'm cutting that I want.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. You guys
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you,
And thank you, Johnathan.